Welcome back to the deep dive. Our mission today is, well, it's pretty simple, but also really critical. We're trying to give you a knowledge shortcut to mastering grant proposal success.
Right.
We want to move past that world of just, relying on good intentions and get straight into the strategic mindset that actually gets proposals funded.
That's absolutely right. We've pulled together some essential sources here, and this isn't just about what to write. It's more of a deep exploration of how to improve your presentation.
Your whole strategy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
How to make your proposal undeniably compelling, and I think most importantly, how to align it perfectly with what funders really expect.
And the focus here is on specific, actionable advice, things that can give you an immediate edge. We have to learn to think like the funder before we even start writing.
We're drilling down into the mechanics that separate a strong application from, well, from an unsuccessful one.
Okay, so let's unpack the foundational rules. We have to start with a tip that's so fundamental, so obvious that our sources say it's shockingly often the point of failure.
It sounds almost insulting in its simplicity, but the foundational rule, tip 1, is read the request for proposal, the RFP.
But why does that trip people up? I mean, we're talking about highly motivated organizations here.
They're busy. There's a sense of urgency, and they often skim or, they rely on old templates. But the sources show that funders are constantly scratching their heads, wondering if anyone actually read the detailed requirements.
So the RFP isn't just a form to fill out.
No, it's so much more. It represents the funder's core interests, their legal limits, their strict guidelines. Missing one small instruction in that RFP is the fastest way to get your proposal binned, sometimes automatically.
That makes the stakes extremely clear. You're basically disqualifying yourself before they even read your content, which I guess leads perfectly into the next rule, which is just as non-negotiable: the clock.
Deadlines today are absolute. The old era of mailing something and hoping it arrives on time, that's gone.
It's all digital now.
Almost exclusively electronic, and that system registers the exact moment you hit the final submit button.
So the warning is, there is no grace period. Don't rely on their generosity to accept a late proposal. Being on time is essential just to get into the pool.
That's right.
So once those basics are covered, we have to move into preparation. You've got to do your homework.
And this homework goes way beyond just the RFP. You really need to dig deeper into the funder itself. This takes serious, dedicated research.
Okay, but if I'm a small nonprofit director, I'm thinking I barely have time to run my program. Why should I spend hours researching their past grants instead of just proving my program works?
That's the exact mindset we have to shift. You have to understand a funder's history to predict their future decisions. Ask yourself, what did they really try to accomplish last year?
Who did they give money to?
Exactly. Which organizations got grants, and more importantly, why? What are their stated priorities? How much did they award? This research is your strategic intelligence gathering. It stops you from sending a perfect proposal to the wrong audience.
So you're checking if their mission actually resonates with yours?
Not just resonates. You need to verify that they have a proven track record of funding programs just like yours.
That investigative work leads perfectly into what the sources call the critical intersection. This is the aha moment that changes everything.
This is where we have to confront a massive misconception. A lot of people believe a funder's job is just to help a nonprofit accomplish its mission.
But isn't it?
It's incorrect.
Wait, hold on. If they are a philanthropic foundation for education, and I run an after-school tutoring program, how is that not the point?
Because every funder, a person, a company, a foundation, a government agency, they all have their own mission, their own mandate, their own metrics they have to report on.
Okay.
Your proposal has to speak directly to the intersection of those missions. You're not asking for charity. You're offering them a solution. You have to show how your tutoring program helps them meet their defined goals.
So it's about helping them solve their problems while I solve mine.
Yes. Maybe their goal is improving regional literacy stats or workforce readiness. You show them how you're the partner to get that done.
That really shifts the framing. You're not a supplicant, you're an effective partner. And to be a partner, you have to prove you can deliver.
Precisely. Which brings us to tip 5, and this is a crucial nugget from the material. Expertise gets funded, good intentions don't.
That's a powerful distinction. But how do we define expertise in a grant proposal? How does a reviewer tell the difference between someone who cares and someone who can actually execute?
It all comes down to meticulous detail. Your plan, your history, Expertise means structuring your submission logically. It means defining goals that are smart, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound.
Right.
You have to lay out the exact process you'll use to hit those goals and, crucially, detail precisely how you'll evaluate the project.
So we can't just say we'll hold classes and hope for the best. We need to talk metrics.
You must talk metrics, pre- and post-tests, job placements. You have to show the funder your logic model, that clear line from your activities to their outcomes.
And you have to show you're the right team for the job.
Yes, you have to proactively include why your organization is uniquely qualified. Show them your history of accomplishments, your staff's credentials. You can't just assume they know your past successes. You have to document them.
And nothing validates that plan like the financial reality. We have to talk numbers.
Tip number 6, show the numbers. Every proposal needs a budget that's realistic and compelling. But here's the key. The budget can't exist in a vacuum.
Meaning the dollars have to make sense with the story we're telling.
Exactly. The budget has to be thoroughly backed up by the project narrative. If you say you need 6 months for development, your budget should show 6 months of staffing costs.
Okay, that makes sense.
The reviewer's looking for perfect consistency. A compelling budget isn't padded, but it also isn't unrealistically lean. It's clear, it's detailed, and it maps every dollar back to the promised outcomes.
Consistency is key. That takes us into section 3, where we shift from the paper on the desk to the people behind the checks. This is relational, not just transactional. So how do you cultivate those funder relations before you even pitch?
You have to engage early and often, but strategically. This isn't about blind cold calling. The goal is to establish yourself as a known entity.
So what's the best way to do that?
Attend their public workshops. Use networking opportunities they host. Follow their updates. If they see you showing up and participating, you stop being just another anonymous submission. You become a prospective partner.
It's a lot of work, but I imagine it lowers the barrier to entry when the proposal finally arrives. Next, we have to talk about respecting the funder's expertise, even if you feel like you know your field better than they do.
This is a tricky nuance. Funders operate on a spectrum. Some program officers might have deep, specialized expertise in your field, say, marine biology.
Right.
Others might be generalists on a family foundation board with, zero technical knowledge of your work in, say, agricultural nonprofits.
So if I'm writing a highly technical proposal, I really need to know my audience.
Absolutely. The constant rule is to always treat them as the intelligent decision makers they are, and tailor your proposal accordingly. For experts, you can use technical language. For laypersons, you simplify the jargon, use powerful analogies, and focus on the human impact.
You're responsible for making sure they get it.
Yes, it's on you.
Finally, let's hit communication. How does an organization stand out when dozens of strong proposals land on the same desk?
Your proposal has to be uniquely inspiring. It can't sound like a template. It has to clearly reflect your strengths and, crucially, specify the tangible impact you provide, not just a list of activities.
Give me a quick example of that difference activity versus impact.
An activity is, we will enroll 50 students in our summer coding camp.
Okay.
The tangible impact is, based on our track record, 90% of those 50 students will demonstrate coding proficiency sufficient to qualify for paid internships, which increases the regional pipeline of qualified tech workers. You have to state the result the funder is investing in.
That wraps up the core tips, but the sources make it very clear that this is just the beginning. Mastering grants is an ongoing process.
That's a key realization. True mastery involves navigating an entire ecosystem. For instance, when we talked about research, a huge challenge is just getting over the initial fear of grant writing, the confidence gap.
I can see that it's a huge, intimidating process. What are some of the advanced topics that really unlock that next level?
Well, we're talking about learning to avoid mistakes from a grant reviewer's perspective. Understanding what makes their job easier is a huge advantage.
And what about process?
There are deep dives into procedural excellence, like how to properly document brainstorms and notes so your internal process is clean and repeatable.
And strategically, how do we turn a one-off win into sustained funding?
That's where the high-level strategy comes in. Learning how to leverage the grants you've already won to attract more funding, or even how to unlock recurring grants through your volunteer program.
So it's about connecting the different parts of your organization into a funding flywheel.
Exactly. Yeah. And the challenge continues even after you get the good news.
You mean post-award administration?
That's the most neglected but critical area. Success isn't just getting the check, it's reporting rigorously and accurately. We see detailed advice on the importance of post-award grants management, like the 5 steps to perfect post-award grants management. The job really begins when the money hits your bank account.
Absolutely fascinating. So, to recap our core lesson today, grant success really hinges on that strategic alignment with the funder's mission. You have to meet their goals while achieving yours.
And you have to prove your unique, detailed expertise with compelling, measurable results.
Right, with a clear track record of success.
And here's the final provocative thought we want you to consider. We so often focus just on the application itself, but successful, sustained funding involves the entire life cycle.
The whole process.
True mastery means controlling that whole process, from the exhaustive research at the beginning through the submission and all the way to rigorous, perfect post-award management. The proposal is really just the start of a long-term partnership.
That is a powerful closing thought. If you are ready to stop just filling out forms and start mastering that full strategic grant life cycle, including getting access to those educational videos and the full suite of advice on grant proposal writing, you need to check out the definitive resource. For all those tools, courses, and next-level strategies, go to the website grants.courses.